Okay. It's a better tool. Yeah, that's a copy.
Oh, it's the copy?
No, one is
sometimes
one is the lyrics and one is the song.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's take it.
I'm gonna take it.
Let's take it.
I'll take it. I think.
I don't need it.
I think. How's everybody doing? Good. It's good to see everybody here today. And if everybody has what they need, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're asked that the brothers uncover their heads, sisters please cover their heads as we stand up, face Jerusalem, and open up and pray.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be done
on earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts.
and forgive us our debts,
We forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
Lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
Thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the
and
kingdom,
the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the
For
Lord,
he is good,
for he is good,
his mercy endures forever.
for his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of
For
Israel,
he is good,
for he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
These things we pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus'
The
name.
Holy One of
The
Israel,
Holy One of
the
Israel,
Mighty One of Jacob,
Mighty One of
the
Jacob,
Lord of Lords,
Lord of Lords,
King of Kings.
and King of Kings.
Amen. Today's scripture reading will be taken from the 50th Psalms. Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble, I will deliver thee, thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God said, what is thou to do to declare my statutes, and that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things have thou done, and I kept silent. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself. But I will reprove thee and set thee in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. I read unto you Psalms 50, verses 14 through 16, 20 through 22. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All praise, all glory, all honor is most certainly due to the Most High, the God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Peace to each and every one of you. In the mighty name of Jesus, I count it truly a blessing each and every time that I come before you to preach the word of God, and never do I count it as a light thing to do so. The title of today's lesson, for if God spared not Sodom and Gomorrah. If God spared not Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, that title, it causes us, or should cause us, to consider our actions and consider the actions of a society. You see the picture, right? This is the White House after they commemorated the Supreme Court decision that legalized marriage in the United States. When you look at much of the Western world, marriage between peoples of the same sex is legal, and sodomy, let's call it what it is, sodomy is accepted. How did we get to this point? Okay, so that's how I actually want to start off today and going over how we got to this point. How did we get to a point where not too long ago, I was using this example, you looked on TV and I Love Lucy and Desi and Lucille, they were sleeping in separate beds and they were married. Not thinking of things that you see on the television and movie screens. How did we get to this point where people, so-called religious folks, if you say something about, I'm gonna call it what it is, sodomy, people have a problem with you. How did we get to this point? It did not just happen overnight. There was an actual plan, if you will, to go, an agenda to go about having this take place in society. So that's where I want to start off. And when we go from there, we're going to look at marriage between men and women and how it can only be between men and women. We're going to see what the Bible says ultimately about the act of sodomy and the eventual consequences for that particular behavior. But I want to start off with just a few references to show you again how we got to this point. It didn't happen overnight. It seems like this just came upon us in the world when the last 10 years or so this happened. It's actually been a little bit longer than that. This is from an article in The Advocate, which is a homosexual publication by Steve Warren. Notice the date, 1987. This is what he says he's speaking directly to religious folks. He says, here are some of the things you will be expected to affirm. Henceforth, homosexuality will be spoken of in your churches and synagogues as an honorable estate. You can either let us marry people of the same sex, or better yet, abolish marriage altogether. You will be expected to offer ceremonies that bless our sexual arrangements. You will also instruct your people in homosexual as well as heterosexual behavior. You will go out of their way to make certain that homosexual youths are allowed to date, attend religious functions together, openly display affection. This is not out in the world. This is to people in churches. He said churches and synagogues. He said, and enjoy each other's sexuality without embarrassment or guilt. Think about what he's saying and think about the current state of affairs. If you actually say something against sodomy, there is a problem. You are seen as a bigot. See what he's talking about? I'm talking about people who, again, in the so-called church. That's what happened. Just what he said has happened. He said, if any of the older people in your mind, in your midst, object, right? You know, common sense usually dwells in the minds of the old, right? Older, or our elders. Any of the older people in your midst object, you will deal with them sternly, making certain they renounce their ugly and ignorant homophobia. Here's that word, homophobia, that you constantly see. When you say you are against this particular behavior, oh, you must be homophobic. It's kind of like that word anti-Semitic. It's like ad hominem. They're attacking you with insults that when you really think about it, don't make sense. He says, or suffer public humiliation. You will also make certain that laws are passed forbidding discrimination against homosexuals and heavy punishments are assessed. If you consider, that's happening right now, slowly but surely. Finally, we will, in all likelihood, want to expunge a number of passages from your scriptures and rewrite others. You see that now. They have other books. They have their interpretations of the scriptures. Eliminating preferential treatment of marriage and using words that would allow for homosexual interpretations of passages describing biblical lovers, such as Ruth and Boaz, or Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Warning, if all these things do not come to pass quickly, we will subject Orthodox Jews and Christians to the most sustained hatred and vilification in recent memory. We have captured the liberal establishment and the press. Think about liberals. Think about on your college campuses. Thinking about your liberal news agencies and how they look upon this particular subject. We have already beaten you on a number of battlefields. Listen to this. You have neither the faith nor the strength to fight us, so you might as well surrender now. We like, but isn't that, you see, they are winning as far as the world goes. People are scared to say something about this. I want to show you again. I talked about how this did come to pass overnight, and they had the actual agenda and strategy to make people, young people, and even older people, accept something that's, quite frankly, an abomination. So this is from a book. It was turned from an article to a book. It's called After the Ball: How America Will Conquer Its Fear of Hatred of Gays in the 90s. And it basically puts forth 3 strategies to make what you see happen today happen. Desensitization, jamming, and conversion. I'll go over these 3 strategies that we're using. You see them. Desensitization, right? To be desensitized. Desensitization, Kirk and Maxson, those are the authors, means subjecting the public to a continuous flood of gay-related advertising presented in the least offensive fashion possible. If straights can't shut off the shower, they may at least eventually get used to being wet. It used to be you thought if you saw something that was of homosexual nature in advertising on TV, you were shocked. Now you're not shocked because you're desensitized to it. It's almost like when you see so much killing on TV, it's like, oh, they're killing somebody else got shot, no big deal. That was by design. And this stuff is coming out of the 80s. And it's coming to manifest as you see it today. Said no time, they said a skillful and clever media campaign could have the gay community looking like a veritable fairy godmother to Western civilization. Think about how homosexuals are perceived or portrayed on the screen. Oftentimes you see victimization. They are the victim. Right? Jamming. Jamming refers to the public smearing of Christians, traditionalists, or anyone else who opposes the gay agenda. Jam homo hatred, i.e. disagreement with homosexual behaviors, by linking it to Nazi horror. You are a bigot if you say something against. Think about people who have said something against homosexuality and that's the end of their career, politically. You see it on television, actors, musicians. You got so-called thugs, the hardest thugs you ever want to see. Rap music. I ain't got nothing against homosexuality. Wait a minute. Thought you was a thug. You're not a thug. But because they understand if they say something against them, they have a problem. It'll be the end of their career. And oftentimes you see that homosexual question being used as a litmus test. You see that quite often. Conversion. And this conversion does not refer to making everybody homosexuals, but rather it refers to making them go along with their plight. This is how young people, you see this oftentimes with young people who are not homosexual, because homosexuals really only constitute about 1 to 2% of the population, male and female. But you will see them going tooth and nail as if they're in unison and have the same objectives. They don't really understand that they're being used. Just like they used the civil rights movement and said gay is the new black, which we know is not the case. So conversion, in the early stages of any campaign to reach straight America, the masses should not be shocked and repelled by premature exposure to homosexual behavior itself. Instead, the imagery of sex should be downplayed and gay rights should be reduced to an abstract social question as much as possible. Okay? This is just a social question, or this is just a matter of civil rights. You should fight for me. That's why in all these schools across the country, you have a gay-straight alliance. That was put forth by somebody who was a homosexual rights activist. That's who put that forth in all these schools that you see today. It said, first let the camel get his nose inside the tent, and only later his unsightly derriere shall be shown. You're going to see his butt in a minute. That's what they're telling you. And that's what we started to see. That's what we started to see. So let's look at the scriptures. Because one of the most important subjects as far as society goes is one of the most important institutions, if not the most important institution in society is marriage. Okay? Let's go to Genesis 2. Let's go to Genesis 2 and pick it up at verse 7, because here we want to see what the Bible says is the divine order and who is man's natural complement. Because marriage and sex are together. We'll find out why. But Genesis 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. Genesis 2 and verse 7. When you're ready, go ahead.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life.
Go ahead.
And man became a living soul.
So God made this man. He shaped him. He brought him into his consciousness. Verse 18. Because he said something about this man, Adam. Go ahead.
And the Lord God said, it is not good that the man should be alone.
It's not good that the man should be alone. What is he going to do?
I will make him a helpmeet for him.
He said, I'm going to make him a helpmeet, his counterpart, his complement. And let's find out if he made him another man. Why not just make another man? Verse 19. And
out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field, and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them.
Go ahead.
It was whoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
So he named them. Go ahead. Verse 20.
And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field.
Was his helpmeet found in amongst the beasts?
But Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him.
No helpmeet amongst the animals. Verse 21. So what did he do?
And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept.
Go ahead.
And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man,
what did he do?
Made he a woman.
He made a woman. He put him to sleep, performed surgery, took a part of him, and shaped not another man, but a woman again. I don't care what this world says. A man's complement is a woman, not a man. A woman. You can see that clearly if you just look at the anatomy of a man and a woman. And then look what they produce, which we will get to in a minute. You cannot make a man another man's complement. I don't care how you try to slice. He said the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib was the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. Verse 23.
And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones.
Go ahead.
And flesh of my flesh. She should be called woman.
She shall be called Steve.
Woman.
Larry.
Woman.
Harvey.
Woman.
Woman. Go ahead.
Because she was taken out of man.
Because she was taken out of man. Verse 24.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
And they what?
And they shall be one flesh.
So a man is supposed to leave his father and his mother. Notice he got a father and a mother, not two mommies, not two daddies, but a father and a mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Let's go to Genesis 1. Because we want to find out the directive that was given to this man, to the species as a whole. And we'll see how this form of thinking is in contradiction to this. Genesis 1 and verse 27. When you're ready, go ahead.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him.
Go ahead.
Male and female created he them.
He didn't make another man. When he made Adam, he made male and female. Verse 28, because he told him to do something. Go ahead.
And God blessed them. And God said unto them,
do what?
Be fruitful and multiply.
And do what?
And replenish the earth.
He said, be fruitful and multiply again. You see the anatomy of man and woman, and you see what they produce. That goes right along with this. And you understand in marriage, off top, that a marriage between people of the same sex is automatically a sterile marriage. So it said, God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply. Even in cases where you have one of the individuals, if they're of opposite sex, they can, in principle, at least still reproduce and carry out this dispensation, but they cannot do it if you have two males and two females. That's why two men and two women, I don't care what law they write, can never be married. It is impossible for them to be married, because they cannot carry this out. And you cannot separate procreation from marriage, because it is procreation. That's the reason marriage came about. We're going to find out ultimately from God's perspective, not just any seed, but it said, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. Let's go to Malachi, the last book in the Old Testament, Malachi, to see the ultimate purpose of this union. See, this was ordained by God, and it has been in place for millennia, for generations. This is Malachi 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse, we'll just pick it up at verse 11 and read in context. Malachi 2 and verse 11. When you're ready, go ahead.
Judah hath dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Israel and in Jerusalem. But Judah has profaned the holiness of the Lord which he loved, and had married the daughter of a strange god.
So even the relationship between a man and a woman, if you want to really understand it, you should look at the relationship between the Messiah, the Lord, and his church. That's like a man and his wife. That's his bride. Look what he did for his bride. And look what his wife was supposed to do. Here, she's not doing. So it said Judah had dealt treacherously and profaned the holiness of the Lord, which he loved, and had married the daughter of a strange god. He's jealous, just like if a woman steps out on her husband, how he would feel. That's wrath when he finds that out. So it is with the Lord. But let's go to verse 12. You ready to go ahead?
The Lord would cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offered an offering unto the Lord of hosts.
Go ahead.
And this have ye done again, coming in the altar of the Lord with tears, with weeping, and with crying out, so much that he regarded not the offering anymore, or receiveth it with goodwill at your hand. So
now you're suffering, so now you want to cry out to the true and living God. He's not trying to hear you. But verse 14.
Yet ye say, wherefore?
Oh, why? Go ahead.
Because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth.
He said, because the Lord has seen how you treated your wife. You're supposed to show her proper honor. You're supposed to take care. You want to know how to treat your wife? Look at what God did for his church. He provided for his church. So they say, yeah, he said, wherefore, because the Lord hath been witness between thee and the wife of thy youth, against whom what?
Against whom thou hast dealt treacherously.
You dealt treacherously. Go ahead.
Yet is she thy companion.
But nevertheless, she is thy companion. She is your complement. She is your counterpart. Not some other man. That's what they teach you in school. That's what they teach you, though. Or you go to the so-called higher education, those institutions. You really see it there. You really see it there. As far as the perpetuation of this nonsense. But your complement is your woman. He said, yet is she thy companion and the wife of thy covenant. You can't even consummate a covenant between two men. How do you consummate a covenant between two men in that way? That makes no sense. It's anatomically incorrect. And will produce nothing but confusion and disease. But verse 15.
And did not he make one?
Did not he make one? We read in Genesis 2. They shall be one flesh, but go ahead. Why did he make one? Go ahead.
Yet had he the residue of the spirit. And wherefore one?
And wherefore one? What was the ultimate purpose in bringing these two together? Go ahead.
That he might seek a godly seed.
That he might seek not just any seed, but a godly seed. Because ultimately, brothers and sisters, if he has a godly seed, then that individual can be ultimately what he created us to be, which is God. Ye are God's children of the Most High God. And marriage and even sexual activity between men and women within the confines of marriage is a big part of that. But you can't even do that. That is with two men or two women. That's totally against the design that God put forth to even reproduce himself. So it says, and did not he make one? Yet had he the residue of the spirit, and wherefore one, that he might seek a godly seed. Therefore take heed to your spirit, and let none deal treacherously against the wife of his youth. So now we find out why he brought them together. Let's go to Matthew 19 and see what the Messiah said about marriage. Because someone said, well, Jesus didn't say anything about marriage. Well, let's see. Matthew 19. Because they're trying to ask him a question tempted him. And this is his response. Because they asked him, the Pharisees asked him, can a man put away his wife for every cause, for any reason, whenever he feel like it? And here Jesus speaks to the sacredness of the union, the marital union between man and woman. Verse 4.
And he answered and said to them, have you not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female?
Now it's a law of divorce. Divorce, when you read in Deuteronomy around the 24th chapter, you read that, but he took them all the way back to the beginning. He said, have ye not read that he which made them at the beginning made them male and female? You cannot get around this. Verse 5.
It says, for this cause shall a man leave for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife.
And what are they going to be?
And they twain shall be one flesh.
And they will be one flesh. Verse 6.
Wherefore, there are no more twain but one flesh.
No more two but one. And this happens on several levels. You are acting as a unit. A familiar as a mother and a father, or husband and wife, and on several levels. You are one flesh. You should be walking down the same path spiritually. You should be walking down the same path when it comes to making decisions in your home. And there's another way we're going to find out when you become one flesh. It said, well, therefore, God hath joined together. See, God joined this together. Not two men, not two women. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. So he's talking about the sacredness of marriage in that union. And it should not be taken lightly. But they have tried to redefine this. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and see just what's one way in which somebody can be one flesh. This is 1 Corinthians 6, and we're going to pick it up in verse 15. And see what Paul told the church at Corinth. This is 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 15. When you're ready, go ahead.
Know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ?
Don't you know that your bodies are the members of Christ? You are one with him? Go ahead.
Shall I then take the members of Christ
and do what?
And make them the members of a harlot?
That makes no sense. Why you are one with Christ? You have the Spirit of God, and then you go and join yourself in fornication to somebody else that's not your wife. That makes no sense. Does that go together? It doesn't. It said, know ye not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of an harlot? God forbid. Verse 16.
What? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body?
Don't you know you joined to a harlot, you with one body, because y'all becoming one? How? On a biological level. See, that's the lowest level of that oneness or that unison between two individuals. So it said, what? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? For what?
For two, said he, shall be one flesh.
He said, for two said he shall be one flesh. What did he say in Genesis? In Genesis 2. That's when he said it. Go ahead.
But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit.
But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. So if you with the Lord, understand you should be, if you were dealing only in a sexual nature, it should be with your wife. That's it. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. So what we need to do?
Flee fornication.
Flee fornication. Go ahead.
Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committed fornication sinneth against his own body.
And understand that's a type of fornication as well. Illicit sexual behavior, and you sin against your own body. Let's go to another place in the writings of Paul. Let's go to Romans 1. Because he speaks against this offense against your own body and telling us what this world has done, what mankind has done as a species. This is directly related to a certain type of way of thinking. This is Romans 1, and we're going to pick it up in verse 18. Romans 1 and verse 18. You ready? Go ahead.
For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who all the truth and unrighteousness.
The wrath of God is coming. The wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. What's the truth that they hold? Go ahead.
Because that which may be known of God is manifested in them, for God has showed it unto them.
Because that which may be known of God is manifest in them. Go ahead. He showed them something. What did he show them? Go ahead.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen.
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen. Again, the creation, brothers and sisters, the existence of God, we can all see it. We can observe it through our senses. We can observe it even when he made Adam, he brought him into consciousness and manifested himself unto him. He's manifested himself unto us in a number of ways. He manifested himself to you when you actually understand that you exist. When you look outside and see the trees, when you see the birds, when you see other human beings walking around just like you, they did not and could not come just by happenstance. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by what?
Being understood by the things that are made.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Go ahead.
Even his eternal power and God.
So what?
So that they are without excuse.
See, it's been shown unto man. You have no excuse. Atheist does. Even the agnostic, they want to deny the existence of God or act like nobody can know. No, it's a God. There's a God. You've never seen something come out of nothing. There's a God. But what did man do? Verse 21.
Because that when they knew God.
When they knew God, when they knew he existed again, if you go all the way back to the beginning, there was no book. How did they know God? He had manifested himself unto them. How did the Lord know what to do? He was shown what to do. They knew what to do. They had a closer relationship. It said, but because that when they knew God, they what?
They glorified him not as God.
Foolish. They glorified him not as God, neither what?
Neither were thankful.
And what happened to their minds?
But became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was dark.
So your foolish heart is dark, and so now you think homosexuality is the right thing to do. As if there's some honor in that. That is a dishonorable act. It is an abomination. If you don't know what abomination means, it means disgusting. And you can take it or leave it. I ain't talking about people in here. Whoever here can take it or leave it. It is what it is. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, not were unthankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish mind was dark. Go ahead.
Professing themselves to be wise.
They what?
They became fools.
And
changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things.
So now they created a God from the vain imagination of their mind. Verse 24.
Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own heart.
So now, see, once you move God out of the way, once you say there is no God and you create your own God and your own standard, now you can do what? You can do anything your foolish mind come up with. See, sexuality, it's a behavior. That's just what it is. It's not a genetic predisposition. You cannot prove that with any study, and any studies that claim to have done that have been shown to be faulty. There's no genetic predisposition for that, but that's coming out of the vain imagination of somebody's mind. Some man right now probably looking at a dog like, That's the vain imagination of a mind that comes out of man's mind. His heart is desperately wicked. So it says, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like uncorruptible man. And it says, God gave them up to the uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts. To do what?
To dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
You sin against your own body. That's what they're doing. To dishonor their own bodies between themselves. Go ahead.
Who changed the truth of God into a lie. And worship and serve the creature more than the creator.
Foolish.
Who is blessed forever. Amen.
So what did God do?
For this cause God gave them up into vile affections.
Now they got vile affections. Not the affection between a man and his wife, but vile affections. Go ahead.
Even the women did change the natural use into that which is against nature.
Even the women start dealing with other women. Listen, look at the context here. See, sometimes they'll try to go to different scriptures in the Bible and try to rearrange them and twist them. You can't get around this. He's talking specifically about lesbian lesbianism, and he's saying, but this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, and then he uses lesbianism as an example. But even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. Nature tells you man and woman. Verse 27.
And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust one toward another.
So now you got men burning in their lust, one toward another. Men doing what?
Men with men, working that which is unseen.
It's not finished. Go ahead.
And receiving in themselves that recompense of the error which was meet.
Which was you sinning against your own body. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. I'm going to just read verse 28. It says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not seemly or not convenient. And that's what you look out in the world. That's what you see. That's what mankind has become. A bunch of sodomites, a bunch of fornicators, a bunch of lesbians. That's what you see. That is indicative of the moral state of the human species. What you're seeing right now. Let's go to Genesis. Like Genesis 18. Because what are we told concerning this in the law? Genesis 18. And we want to look at an example of this illicit behavior. See, back here there was no book, but we familiar with Sodom and Gomorrah. How is Sodom and Gomorrah going to be punished if there's no standard by which to determine what is right and wrong? What's the punishment for? Like the saying goes, you can't run a red light that's not there. When all there's a red light, stop. 2 men, stop. 2 women, stop. Yield and stop. But let's go Genesis 18 and verse 20. When you're ready, go ahead. You want to look at this example.
And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because their sin is very grievous.
Their sin, which we know is transgression of the law. See, they had a standard. It said in the Lord God, and the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, what is he going to do?
I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry which has come up unto me.
You should think, it also make you consider, what's the cry of the United States? What's that cry like? Sin all around you, sin everywhere. You don't think judgment is coming? No, it's coming. But go ahead.
And if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went towards Sodom.
So now let's go towards Sodom. Let's pick it up at, right in the 19th chapter, verse 1. We ready to go ahead.
And there came 2 angels to Sodom at eve. And Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground.
Go ahead.
And he said, behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your way.
Go ahead.
And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night.
And we'll abide in the street all night, these 2 angels. And what did he do?
Them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and they entered into his house. They made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat.
Go ahead.
But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round both old and young, all the people from every quarter.
And what did they do?
And they called unto Lot and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
So they wanted to know these men in that sense. Now understand, did it just happen overnight? You got to think what you seeing right now in society today. Why can't it get like this? Why can't it get like this? When you look at Roman culture, Roman Greco culture, that was homosexual and pedophilic, they were a bunch of pedophiles. Was a Nero that castrated a man, a little boy had him as his toy, if you will? That was rampant. If that's the society, and so much of Western civilization, so-called civilization, which is really Western barbarity, is based off of Greco-Roman culture, why can't it get back like that again? You already headed in that direction. See, this is not about, like it said in there, you know, so your unsightly derriere. That's this. That's this. Why can't it be where you outside and men approaching other heterosexual men like they women. Why can't it be like that? You think that can't happen? It can happen. Let me stop. You almost hurt somebody one day because of that. That can happen. I had a friend from high school. He said he was working at a store. He was taking drops. He was a manager. He was taking drops from the store to the bank. He had his money, and the bank was in very close to the vicinity of his business. Guy rolled up on him in a big body Chevy. Kind of rough looking dude. He said, "Oh man, I'm about to get robbed." No, he wasn't trying to rob him. He was trying to talk to him, trying to holler at him. Like I said, you ain't no thug. You ain't no thug. But let's keep reading.
Verse 6. And Lot went out at the door to them and shut the door after him. And said, I pray you, brother, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known that. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you. And do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. But therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. Yeah, many people speculate about why that was. It's because they are anatomically built better to deal with that. Whatever the case may be, it just shows you the mindset. It's a terrible situation either way it goes. And it just shows you the mindset of the men. Right? And what they say? Go ahead. And they said, stand back, and they said again. Go ahead. This one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they pressed sore upon the men, even Lot, and came near to break the door. So now they're coming in to break down the door. That's what they've done. They've broken down the doors of society and pushed forth this message, this agenda, that if you don't accept it, you'll lose your job. You might even be fined, because you see instances of businesses being fined, taking sued. You're seeing instances of churches being so-called ministers being fined. You're seeing that, and it's even more intense in Europe. But go ahead. Verse 10. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. So how was their mind? This is to show you right here how crazy their mindset is and how vain it is. Go ahead. And they smote the men which were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. You know you're a degenerate. Real talk. You blind. You have been made blind. You still trying to get the door. Verse 12. And the man said to Lot, thy son-in-laws and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bringing them out of this place. But we will destroy this place. We gonna spare this place. But we will destroy this place. But we will destroy this place. Judgment came. Go ahead. Because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord. The cry has become great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to do what? To destroy. To spread flowers and rainbows around here. No, we killing everything moving. You read verse 14? Oh no, verse 24. Because what the Lord do? Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. So he rained upon them fire and brimstone from heaven. Let's go to Jude. See, this is what we should consider. He didn't spare them. This is Jude 1. We're going to pick it up at verse 5. Here we see these examples of basic rebellion against God and what happened because of that rebellion. This is Jude. It's only one chapter, right before Revelation. Jude, I'm going to pick it up in the 5th verse. When you're ready, go ahead. I will therefore put you in remembrance. I want you to remember something. Go ahead. That you once knew this. How that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed them that believed not. Mighty deliverance. Talking about on eagle's wings. We still talking about that today. But they got in that wilderness and start acting a fool. They made a golden calf and said, these be the gods that brought us about Egypt. Now, how they the gods? You just made them right there. See, that's the foolish mind. That's you creating a God in your own mind. That's the danger in that, because now you created a standard that you want. That is contrary, antithetical to the true standard, which is his Torah or his law. So he brought them out of Egypt. He brought that kingdom down to its knees, spoiled them, brought them out, drowned Pharaoh and his army in the Red Sea, and then brought them to prepare them
in the wilderness and they started acting, and he destroyed them. What else? What's another example? Go ahead.
And the angels which kept not their first estate.
Now you had some angels who were in heaven with God, but they followed Satan and made war in heaven, and Michael cast them out. So it says, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but what?
But left after their own habitation.
What's their portion?
He had reserved in everlasting chains in the darkness until the judgment of that great day.
What did that 1:6 say when the Messiah came? Well, I know who you are. Stop coming to torment me before the time. Chains under darkness. So that's why you can't see him. But that's for a time, because the lake of fire was prepared for the devil and his angels. He gives you another example. If God spared not Sodom and Gomorrah, go ahead.
Even in Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner.
Giving what?
Giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh.
Illicit sexual behavior, fornication, and they going after strange flesh. What?
I set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire.
See, we need to consider that. That's an example of what can happen, but you got a whole society perpetuating that and saying that's good and that's what you should do. And if you don't go along with it, something's wrong with you. You just a bigot. I'm not tolerant of that. It is what it is. Let's go to 2 Peter. Again, what you should consider. See, all these examples are shown for our admonition, so we can understand how we should behave, what we should do and what we should not do. This is 2 Peter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 4. 2 Peter 2 and verse 4. We see a similar point being made here. When you're ready, go ahead.
For God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment.
See, again, so here, in this case, Peter's talking about, initially starts talking about these false prophets, right? Who are bringing in damnable heresies. They're a bunch of heretics trying to lead people. That's just like these so-called ministers in our community who are saying, who go to their congregations and say, well, you know, you do stuff too. You can't really get mad at them. You fornicating, you doing this, you that. You need to speak against all that sin, you hypocrite. Or like Farrakhan, yes, I said his name. Farrakhan at the Million Man March this time got homosexuals up there speaking. You ain't no good. I thought you was, where you got the, how you got the, I mean, they were supposed to be masculine. Right? Was not Malcolm X the epitome of masculinity? Was he not, as Ossie Davis said, a black shining prince? He was uncompromising. He was wrong, but he was uncompromising. Masculine, a great example of manhood. But now you got homosexuals on the platform at the Million Man March. Disgraceful. So it said, for God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down into hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Verse 5.
And spared not the old one, to save Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. Again,
how did he know, or how did he even preach righteousness if there was no standard by which to be righteous? Noah preached that it's going to rain, and it rained, and he flooded the world. It said, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. Let's verse 6. Thank you.
And turned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to ashes.
Go ahead.
Condemned them with an overthrow.
Making them what?
Making them an example unto those that should live ungodly.
That's an example. He said, man, he turned them into ashes. Condemn them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. Verse 7.
And delivered just Lot.
And delivered him, he was just. That's how he got delivered. Noah found grace because he was righteous. That's how he got saved.
With the filthy conversation of the wicked.
And that's rightfully so. He was vexed and said, with the filthy conversation or manner of living, you should not look at this world and be content and be happy with, it's vexing to your spirit. Or it should be. It said, vex with the filthy manner of living of the wicked. Go ahead.
For the righteous man dwelling among them is seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds.
It is vexing. I'm vexed because I don't want to have my children see this foolishness on TV. You can't even turn on the TV. I'm not talking about HBO Showtime. I'm talking about they can't watch the cartoons. I was reading an article that talked about all the homosexual propaganda that's put in Disney movies. Things I had never even realized. It's all through these movies, these blockbuster cartoons they come out with. It's in a lot of them. You watch the Power Rangers. They got it. Like I heard one rapper, he was being interviewed. He said, "Yeah, I don't like how they putting that even on the kids. I mean, at least give them a chance to make a decision. You know, we was kids, we watched Power Rangers." They said, "Well, you know, it's a gay Power Rangers." Now he said, "I know that." That's what it is. You can't turn on the TV. You can't walk down the street. It's like desensitized. You see it everywhere you go. You go to kindergarten, you're supposed to be learning your ABCs, 1, 2, 3, your sight words. You're supposed to be learning not to talk to strangers, and they give you a book, 2 mommies and 2 daddies. Indoctrination. It's not for the old, it's for the young, and they have the young. Go ahead.
Verse 9. The Lord know how to deliver the godly out of temptation.
But that's what people who are even, if that's their the thing that causes them to slip, if you will. Because everybody got some people just some straight up liars. They straight up liars. Can't stop lying. Some people fornicate, they can't stop dealing with other women. Some people adulterers. Some people thieves. I knew a brother in the word, and he was telling me what he used to do. I could not believe it. I believe this, but he said, "Oh man, it was just a drive, and I had to." He was breaking into jewelry stores. One of the nicest brothers you ever want to meet, couldn't imagine it, but he said that was his thing. He won't work on women. He was breaking in. I mean, he like a cat burglar. So whatever it is, whatever your temptation may be, even if it is sodomy, the Bible's telling you you can stop doing that behavior. But you can't have it your way. You can't say, "I'm just born like that," because the pedophile can say that, because the fornicator can say that, because the thief or the liar can say that. No, everybody got to bring their body into subjection. Whatever your problem is, because we all got 1 or 2 or 3, we got to bring ourselves into subjection. The Lord knows how to deliver the godly out of temptations. And to do what?
And to reserve the unjust until the day of judgment to be punished.
Because that's what's coming down the line if you don't get it together. Verse 10.
With chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government, self-will, and they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Because we want to find out, because again, I talk about a standard. We want to find out what the law should do. You talk about the law to a so-called New Testament Christian. They don't even know what the New Testament is. So I'm not under that law. As if the law is bad. Paul called the law holy, just, and good. But what standard do you have of righteousness if you don't have a law? It's by what you say? Because if it's by what you say, we're in trouble. Because you ain't got no sense. 1 Timothy 1 and 3. And I don't have sense outside of this. I'm just making up some whatever I want. That's not going to work. 1 Timothy 1 and verse 3. When you ready, go ahead. As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus. When I went into Macedonia. Go ahead. That thou madest charge some that they teach no other doctrine. So now Paul is writing this letter to Timothy and Timothy. He's telling him about what he should be teaching about doctrine. And he's giving a warning here, verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogy. That's not what it's about. Go ahead. Which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. That's what you should be trying to do. You should be trying to edify the people. Right? And people should hear your word and be pricked in the conscience, which is the word of God, and be pricked in that conscience and be strengthened in that faith if they apply it. Go ahead. Now the end of the commandment is charity out of a pure heart.
So now the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart. That's true. Go ahead.
And of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned.
Go ahead.
From which some having swerved have turned aside into vain jangling.
They have turned aside to vain jangling. These so-called teachers are concerned with that which is not the ultimate objective. Vain jangling. They run up at the mouth. And you see these preachers, they gonna give you their life story. They're gonna give you some good. No, give me the word. Or sit down and shut up. Go ahead.
Designed to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm.
So they don't understand. Designed to be teachers of the law. It said understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. They don't understand. Verse 8.
But we know that the law is good if a man uses it lawfully.
It is good if a man uses it lawfully. Like he said, it's holy, just, and good. Go ahead.
Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man.
It's not made for a righteous man. Not saying that now they would take this and say the righteous man don't have to keep the law. I mean, how is he righteous if he's not keeping the law? That doesn't make any sense. That's absurd. That's asinine. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but what?
But for the lawless disobedience.
It's showing you your wretched self. That's what it's doing. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient. Go ahead.
For the ungodly and sinners.
Go ahead.
For unholy and profane.
Go ahead.
For murderers of fathers, for murderers of mothers, and for manslayers.
All these sinners, it's showing you yourself, and it's showing you need to clean yourself up. That's what it did for me. Listen, I looked at it and said, man, there was a mirror. I said, ooh, that's some dirt, brother. Man, you got to clean yourself up. Go ahead.
Verse 10. For whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind.
And he put them all together. He said, you murderers. Said unholy, whoremongers. You going after whores. That's what they mean when they would call a woman, oh, she a whore. You a whoremonger. You act like you better. You ain't no better. Whoremongers. And then it says them that do what?
Defile themselves with mankind.
That's the homosexual, excuse me, the sodomites. Defile themselves with mankind. Or who?
For men still.
Talking about kidnappers. Go ahead.
For lie. For perjured person. That there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine.
See, the law, brothers and sisters, is supposed to be showing you what you should and should not do. And it will show you who you are and how you need to change. We get this foolishness that we're supposed to just accept anything. You're not supposed to accept anything. God don't accept anything. He's not accepting anything from you on an individual level or in any way, shape, or form. He has a standard. And he says, you know what? Obey me, you'll live. You don't, and you will die. You can take it or leave it. Let's go to Leviticus and see what does the law say concerning sodomy. And that's the mercy of God, that he will show it to you what you, because maybe you didn't know. And he'll show it to you, and now it's time to change. That's the mercy of God. See, they look upon this. We're going to see some other things that these people said. Not the same people, but some other homosexual rights, so-called rights activists, what they said, as if this is not to help you. I'm going to tell you, there's nothing good about being a sodomite. That's not what you want to be. Leviticus 18 and verse 22, just like you don't want to be an adulterer or a fornicator. But let's pick it up at verse 22. When you ready? What we at, Leviticus 18? Leviticus 18 and 22. When you ready, go ahead.
Thou shalt not lie with mankind, womankind.
Thou shalt, go ahead.
It is an abomination.
So that's clear. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is disgusting. That's what abomination is. But go ahead, verse 23.
Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith.
Because you got to tell this man everything. Not, listen, man, don't lie with the dog. Don't lie with the horse. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to what it says, defile thyself therewith. Now you got to think about this for a second. If you really dealing in the spirit of God, you got the spirit of God. Oh, better, even if you just look at it from this perspective, you are a human being. if you really look at what human beings are capable of, it's a beautiful thing. Human beings are a brilliant species, but at the same time can be so ignorant that they would defile themselves in a number of ways. One of which you would lay down with an animal. Does that make any sense? No sense. Or you would even commit suicide, things like that. Well, how are you killing yourself? Do you know what you are, what you're capable of? You know how beautiful you are? That don't make sense. So I said, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither what?
Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto.
Is what?
It is
It
confused.
sure is. It's so confusing. But verse 24.
Defile not yourselves in any of these things.
Go ahead, read that next part.
For in all these, the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you.
Understand, he told Israel, understand, don't do all these things, because the nations that I cast out of this land, they were doing that. Don't do it. Let's go to
Genesis.
thank you, Genesis, the 15th chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 12. And just to show you, like I said, do you not think judgment is coming? Let's see what Abraham was told many years prior to them going into the land. Because we just read, he said, hey, listen, don't do this. Don't deal in homosexuality, sodomy, don't deal in bestiality, right? Because that's the kind of behavior and actions that the people that I'm kicking out of the land, that's what they were doing. I'm telling you to be sanctified. But let's see what Abraham was told concerning his seed that we just read about. This is Genesis 15. We're going to pick it up at verse 12. Are you ready? Go ahead.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram. And lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him.
And he's going to be shown something. Go ahead.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not there, and shall serve them, and it shall afflict them 400 years.
So he said, hey, listen, understand, your seed's going to be in captivity for 400 years, and they were in Egypt for 430 years, for verse 14.
And also that nation whom they shall serve, will I judge.
He said, I will judge that nation. Go ahead.
And afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt be buried in the good old age.
You're not going to see it, Abraham, but your seed is going to go into that land. You're going to be in peace. You're going to be buried. But it's not on here. Verse 16. I want to read that as well. Verse 16.
But in the fourth generation, they shall come hither again.
In the fourth generation, they will come hither again. Why?
For the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full.
But the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. Apparently, it was full at the time Israel came about, because he kicked them out of the land. For what? For sodomy, for bestiality. Shows you right there how God operates. Think about what he did to Jonah and Nineveh. He was going to destroy them. Why? Because of the sin. So you can't look around you and see all this sin and not expect some catastrophe to happen. Let's go to reference 1. Because I want now this is from this man called Frank Kameny, who was a activist. When you read about the Stonewall riots, you read about this guy. But listen to what he says. This is in a letter he wrote in 2008. He said, let us have more and better enjoyment, more and better sexual perversions. All of what we read about, Romans 1, by whatever definition, by more and more consenting adults. And if bestiality with consenting animals provides happiness to some people, let them pursue that happiness. And let us have more and better enjoyment of more and better and hardcore pornography or porne in Greek by those to whom such viewing provides happiness. This is what he said about God in Leviticus. He says, your God of Leviticus is clearly a sinful, homophobic bigot. That's what he said. He should repent of his sinful homophobia. He should atone for that sin, and he should seek forgiveness for the pain and suffering which his sinful homophobia has needlessly inflicted upon gay people for the past 4,000 years. And this is him being honored by the president.
Oh, no.
He's talking about how great he is. We want to thank you, Frank, for all your courage. Now, what do you think is going to happen? At a certain point, again, the cup of iniquity reaches its brim. And this, what you're seeing right now, is nothing new. It is directly related to what we read about in Romans 1 about what man does. He denies God. He creates his own God, which you see that in these churches today, or the spiritual systems that people have adopted. And then because you made your own God, now what can you do? Anything you want to do. This is another gay rights activist, John McKellar. He said the modern change in opinion concerning homosexuality, though presented as a scientific advance, all to accept homosexuality. He said it's contradicted rather than supported by science. Now he's gay. It said it is a transformation of public morals consistent with widespread abandonment of the Judeo-Christian ethics upon which our civilization is based. Talking about the United States, right? And some Western civilization, even though they have a misinterpretation of the Bible. It said, though held as progress, right? You got they say this is, you know, that's you got that old way of thinking. That don't mean it's wrong. It said it is really a reversion to ancient pagan practices supported by a countercultural restatement of Gnostic moral relativism. Which moral relativism is whatever is moral is what you think is moral at the time. So you think homosexuality is right at this time, that's what you engage in. And anybody says otherwise, they're a problem. And when you look at ancient Greco-Roman society, it looks like this society. That's nothing new. It's nothing new. Let's go back to Leviticus. Nothing new. I believe he's, I want to say he's homosexual. Pretty sure he is. Leviticus 20 and verse 7. Leviticus 20 and verse 7. When you're ready, go ahead.
Sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God.
So now he's telling you, you need to sanctify yourself, or set yourself apart, and be what? Be holy. For I am the Lord your God. So he's telling his people, saying, ye shall keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord which doth what? Set you apart, or sanctify you. See, we especially should not be dealing in this foolishness. But verse 13, because what's one of the things that you do that won't make you holy? Go ahead.
If a man also lie with mankind, as he lied with a woman,
what have they done?
both of them have committed an abomination.
What does he feel about it?
It shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
That was worthy of capital punishment. You can't get around it. You can't get around. Let's go to Deuteronomy 23. See, he said that's worthy of capital punishment. As was adultery. A man laid with some woman that was betrothed to another man. Both of them were to be put to death. This is in the law. That's the standard. And people say, "Oh, that's so harsh." Have you ever seen somebody get stoned? One thing you will do, it'll put things into consideration. Say, I don't want that to happen to me. Deuteronomy 23. And verse 17, because what should not, you look at our people, this is all you see, or a lot, or too much, but this should not be seen. Verse 17.
There should be no whore of the daughters of Israel.
There should be no whores, no harlots of the daughters of Israel, nor what?
Nor sodomite of the sons of Israel.
You're supposed to be holy. You're supposed to be holy. You shouldn't be seeing any harlots of the daughters of Israel. You shouldn't see any straight up prostitutes or promiscuous women, nor should you see some effeminized sodomite men. Because if you really think about it, in both instances, let's go with the harlotry. How is that benefiting society? You sleep with everybody. Does that help anybody? No, all that does is bring problems. How does sodomy and having, if you say, okay, your system, just from a practical perspective, how does it work? How is it going to benefit society? It does not. Your unions, even when you throw a child in them, automatically deprives a child from one of its parents, and studies show that you need certain things from both. It doesn't benefit society. And some say it's not hurting society. That's not true. It's being infiltrated in every way, shape, or form. And it opens the door for anything. Soon, you will see an attack on consent laws. That's what you're going to see next. Let's go to Judges. Because Israel fell out of the way. Judges 19. Judges 19, we're going to pick it up at verse 1 and see the consequences that can come from this particular type of behavior. This is 19, Judges 19, and verse 1. When you ready, go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite journeying on the side of Mount Ephraim, which took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. And his concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
Go ahead.
And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having a servant with him and a couple of asses. And she brought him unto her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him.
So you had this Levite, he had a concubine who, it said, who played the whore against him. Okay? So, but he wanted to reconcile. She had left later and had left, but he wanted to reconcile. And so he goes in pursuit of her, verse 4.
And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him. And he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there.
So now he's lodging there similarly to how we read about in Genesis, with lodging 2 angels. Let's go to verse 16. When you ready, go ahead.
And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field of Eden, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah, but the man of the place were Benjamin.
Okay, because he left and then didn't want to tarry. He wanted to be amongst his own people. But go ahead.
And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou?
Go ahead.
And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim. From thence I am. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah. But now I'm going to the house of the Lord, and there's no man that receiveth me to the house. Yet there is both straw and provender there for our asses, and there's bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is our servants. There's no want of anything.
So he said, look, I'm just looking for a place to lodge. I have what I need. I just need a place to lay my head, and my servant and my wife. Go ahead.
And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street.
He said, I'll tell you what, listen, peace be with thee. However, he said, well, I'll take care of you, but what you better not do is lodge in this street. Maybe he knew something. I don't know. Verse 22.
Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, set the house round about and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. Again,
same mindset. So now they're communing with one another, eating and drinking, being married, and then you got some sons of Baal, base fellows. The Lord was so good for nothing, similar to how it was in Sodom and Gomorrah. But we're talking about the people who God said to be sanctified, right? So it says, they bring forth the man that came into thine house that we may know him. Verse 23.
And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, Nay, my brother, nay, I pray you, seeing that this man is coming to mine house, do not this follow.
Some would say, well, see, they talking about it's because they were trying to force them. And no, that's the abomination. Listen, it's bad either way it goes. Consensual, force, whatever. Sodomy is not okay. But go ahead.
Behold, here's my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do to them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man, do not so vile a thing.
So now he had a similar response as in Genesis 19, verse 25.
But the men would not hearken unto him.
Mm-hmm.
So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them. And they knew her and abused her all the night until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
Go ahead.
But then came a woman in the dawning of the day and fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was, till it was light.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was falling down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up also upon his ass, and the man rose up and got him into his place.
Go ahead.
And when he was coming to his house, he took a knife and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel.
Okay, so just so we clear, she was dead. Okay. Now, at the door, he said, I have a daughter and his concubine, this man's concubine. He just threw his concubine out there. And like they said, she was abused and ended up being killed. And then he's going to separate her body, it says, together with her bones in 12 pieces and send her into all the coasts of Israel, one to each tribe, as a message of the sin. Verse 30.
And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day.
Mm-hmm.
Consider of it, take advice, and speak your mind.
So now they're like, what's going on here? Let's go right into chapter 20 and pick it up at verse 1. Because he's going to tell them what happened. You ready to go ahead?
Then all the children of Israel went out, and all the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gibeon, unto the land of Mizpah.
Mm-hmm.
And the chief of all the people, even all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew swords.
So now they're all coming together. Verse 3.
Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibeah, that belonged to Benjamin, I and my concubine the law. And the men of Gibeah rose against me, and they set the house round about upon me by night, excuse me, and thought to have slain me and my concubine. Have they forced that she is dead?
So now we know she's dead. Go ahead.
And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel, for they had committed lewdness and folly in Israel.
So he used that as a message to show what they have done. Now let's skip down to verse 12. Because they wanted to have retribution. They said, hey man, send these men out that have done this. Let's see the response. Verse 12.
And the tribes of Israel sent men throughout all the tribes of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore, deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel.
So what did they want to do? Because like I talked about capital punishment, they wanted to put away evil from Israel. That's what that was about. So it says that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. But what was their response?
But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel.
They wouldn't listen to the rest of their brethren. And they took up for some Sodomites. When you really think about it, that's what people, not to this extreme, but that's what people are doing right now. Why are you justifying? Well, how is it against straight line? You know, I'm not alive with you. Just like I'm not alive with somebody who's murdering people. I can't be alive with you. I can pray that you come into the knowledge of God's truth. But I'm not going to be aligned with you on some foolishness and protecting you to carry out something that's an abomination, that's tearing down society, that ultimately impacts me, my children, and is detrimental to yourself and your eternal soul. I'm not going to be aligned with you. But go ahead.
Verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah.
Go ahead.
To go out to battle against the children of Israel.
So now blood has to be shed because of this sin. Go ahead.
And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men.
Let's go to verse 18. Because now you got civil war because of some sodomy. You ready to go here?
And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked the counsel of God and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up.
That's something they say. They inquired of the Lord, and listen to what, understand what they're inquiring of. Which one of our tribes is going to go up first to fight our brother? That's unfortunate. But you got to cast this out. Verse 19.
And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them in Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 20 and 2,000 men. 20 and 2,000
men. Fathers, husbands, uncles, brothers, sons got killed. They eventually, it didn't just, understand, it didn't just start out that way. It ultimately grew into that. Into where that behavior was going on, just like it's growing in this society. And in order to get rid of it, that's another fundamental principle you find in the Bible. You have to deal with sin, otherwise it spread and the consequences can be terrible. You see that with Israel. We sinned against God, we cast into slavery. And all that entailed with being taken into slavery because of some false worship. So 22,000 men died. Let's keep down to verse 46. When you're ready, go ahead.
So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 20 and 5,000 men into the sword. All these men, and all these were men of valor.
So you got more that died. Ultimately, it was like, what, 60 or 70,000 men that died? But let's keep reading.
But 600 men turned and fled into the wilderness to the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon for months. Israel turned again into the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well as the men of every city, at the beast and all that came to hand. Also, they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
Benjamin was almost brought to nothing, but they had to scheme to get them wiped so they wouldn't be totally wiped out. But that's the consequence for allowing that sin to go on. You can't think that everything's going to be good if you turn a blind eye to sin. No, the longer you allow it to happen, it's going to be worse. Just like if you have a congregation, you got one case of fornication, right? Or adultery, whatever it is, nobody said anything. So what does that tell everybody? It's okay to do it. Now you look up, you want to get rid of fornication, you're going to have 2-3 people left. Because you are allowing something to go on that shouldn't go on. Same thing here. But let's go to Job. And see, because how does God look at this action? Job, and we're going to pick it up, and we're going to read one verse. Job 36. How does he look at this behavior? This is Job 36. We're going to read one verse. And we're going to read 2 verses. Let's pick it up at verse 13. Job 36 and verse 13. When you ready, go ahead.
But the hypocrites in heart keep up wrath. They cry not when he bindeth.
So he said these hypocrites, they in heart, they heap up with wrath. They cry not when he bindeth them. What do?
They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean.
He said they die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. Now he compares them to the lowest of low. And what I mean by the lowest of low? Let's see what this unclean means in this reference. If you look at that word, it's kadesh, which means like a male prostitute or sodomite. Because oftentimes sodomy was related directly to false worship. You see that in other cultures and their spiritual systems. You have temple prostitution in Babylon. You had it in a lot of different places. Male prostitution. Okay, so let's go to 1 Kings, because Israel was dealing in that kind of behavior. Again, like I said, that what we read about in Romans 1 is related to false worship. Because it's the denial of God or the creation of your own God, which allows this to take place, which is what mankind has done as a whole. This is 1 Kings 14, and we're going to pick it up at verse, I want to pick it up at verse 21. I said verse 24. We're going to pick it up at verse 21. And see what was going on during the time of Rehoboam. Now you had these kings of Israel. You had the first king who was Saul. Then you had David. Then you had Solomon. You know, Solomon sinned against God and dealing with these false gods. So the king, and these women who were dealing with these false gods and building up these things for him. The kingdom was split in two. And in the north, you had Jeroboam and his son. In the south was Rehoboam. So let's see what was going on here. This is 1 Kings 14 and 21. You ready to go ahead?
And Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he began to reign.
Go ahead.
And he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city which the Lord did choose out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. And his mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonitess. And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord.
So they did evil in the sight of the Lord. Go ahead.
And they provoked him to jealousy with their sins, which they had committed above all that their fathers had done.
So they were worse. Let's see what they were doing.
Them high places and images and groves and every high hill and under every green tree.
So now they had these high places and images and groves dedicated to these false gods. And what else? Verse 24.
And there were also Sodomites in the land.
There were also Sodomites in the land. So they're dealing with this sexual debauchery and sexual licentiousness in honor of these false gods. And there were also Sodomites in the land, and they did what?
And they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
The same things that they were doing in the land. We read about that in the Torah, right? We read about that, how they were dealing, and he told them, hey, don't deal in these actions because this is why I'm kicking them out. Israel is engaging in this. But let's see, let's go to right into the 15th chapter, because not every king was like that, right? Not every king is not going to be like this here. He's not going to be happy and celebrate something that's an abomination. Let's see. Let's see what righteous kings and righteous leaders do. 1 Kings 15 and verse 11. When you ready, go ahead.
And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did David his father.
So now Asa was righteous. He did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. So what did he do?
And he took away the Sodomites of the land.
He invited them to the White House.
He took away the Sodomites out of the land.
He took away the Sodomites out of the land. He didn't say y'all doing a great job. He took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols that his fathers had made. Because again, it was related to that worship. He got rid of that. Let's go to 1 Kings 22. What a righteous king do? You can't paint the White House in rainbow colors and act like you got the moral high ground. 1 Kings 22 and verse 44. I keep talking about that because that was one of the worst things that ever happened in American history. You're like, what? Yes. You look at what it did to society. And you got somebody in our people, we support him. I heard somebody say, that's my president. You ask, what did he do for you? Can't even say. You better not talk about him. I know that. But the worst, that was one of the worst things ever. This is 1 Kings 22 and verse 44. Because what would a righteous king do? When you ready to go here?
And Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoshaphat and his might that he showed and how he warred, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
So you can see his record. Check his record. But verse 46.
And the remnant of the Sodomites, which remained in the days of his father Asa.
What did he do?
He took out of the land.
He took him out of the land. He was a righteous king. His father was righteous. So that's what he did. Let's see another king. Let's go to 2 Kings 23. Now it was prophesied that this one would come. Before he came to be, it was prophesied about this and that he was going to come and he was going to start a reformation. I'm not talking about some Protestant reformation. No, he's going to come in and get rid of all types of sin amongst his people. Once it came to his understanding, once he found the book of the law, he rent his clothes. He said, oh no, we out of pocket. And he read it unto the people. See, that's what a true leader will do. A fish, I always say, stink from the neck down. When you lead, the people will go in your direction. And I'm going to be honest. If you're on the right path, if you follow God, you need to go in that direction. And if you got to call some of them, you got to call some of them. You got to do what you have to do to keep them on the right path. This is second as a whole. 2 Kings 23 and verse 1. 2 Kings 23 and verse 1. When you ready, go ahead.
And the king sent and gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord.
Because they had cast it away. It was brought to him. So now he said, man, this is what we should be doing. And he gives this to the people. He reads the law to the people. Isn't that what Moses did? Isn't that what they did in the days of Nehemiah and Ezra? But go ahead.
And the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord.
To do what?
To walk after the Lord. To keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their heart and all their soul. Of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant. And
I'm here to tell you, that's what we need as a people right at this very moment to get back to God. That's what we need. But verse 4.
And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door.
To do what?
To bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal.
It's a shame that they had the vessels for Baal in the temple of God. They had to bring that stuff out. Go ahead.
And for the grove and for all the hosts of heaven. And he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel.
What else did he do?
And he put down the idolatrous priests.
He put down the idolatrous priests. Go ahead.
Whom the king of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah.
So now the kings of Israel had ordained these idolatrous priests to burn incense in the high places that were built that we read about. Go ahead.
And in the places round about Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
Them also that burn incense unto Baal, to the sun, to the moon, to the planets, and to all the hosts of heaven. And he brought out of the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people.
So he tearing down everything that's not like God, burning it up, reform. What else did he do?
And he break down the houses of the Sodomites.
Not the houses of the Sodomites. Yes, the houses of the Sodomites that were what?
That were by the house of the Lord.
They house right next to the house of the Lord. He tore that down. Go ahead.
Where the women wove hangings for the grove.
Because it was dedicated to false worship. Let's go to Luke 17. We're almost finished. Luke 17. Because we want to consider these things. We want to think about what it's going to be like prior to his coming. Think about what you're seeing right now. This is Luke 17, the Gospel according to Luke, chapter 17 and verse 22. When you're ready, go ahead. Luke 17 and verse 22. When you're ready, go ahead.
And he said unto the disciples, the days will come when ye shall desire to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and ye should not see it.
He's going to foretell of his second coming. Go ahead.
And they shall say unto you, see here, or see there, but not after them, nor follow them. For it's a lightning that lighteth out of the one part under heaven, shineth unto the other part under heaven. So shall also the Son of Man be in his day.
You're going to see some things. Go ahead.
But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. And as was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man.
So like it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. Verse 27.
They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all.
So they went on about their business, dealt in their folly, while this preacher of righteousness was telling them it's going to rain. You better get ready, it's going to rain. God is coming to destroy, repent. But no, they went on as if everything was going to continue to be. Everything is not going to continue as it is right now. At a certain time, the Lord's not slack concerning his promise. At a certain time, judgment is coming. Destruction is coming. But understand, in the days of Noah, he said, man's heart is only evil continually. I will destroy this man. And when you look at this world right now, think about the mindset of man. When evil is good and good is evil. It says, and as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days of the Son of Man. They ate, they drank, they married wives. They were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. And the flood came and destroyed them all. Everybody, all but 8 souls were saved. Verse 28.
Likewise, also it was in the days of Lot.
Also in the days of Lot, that same one that was vexed in spirit from the conversation, the terrible conversation or manner of living that was surrounding him. Likewise, also as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built it, they went on as if everything's going to keep going on as it is, that you can continue in your sin. But what happened?
But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all.
And destroyed them all. And that is an example of the judgment of God that we should take heed to. Fire and brimstone fell from heaven and destroyed them all. So when you look at both cases, you see in one case you see the vast majority of the human species wiped out, and in another case you see fire raining down upon them. Verse 30.
Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed.
It's going to be like that when the Son of Man is revealed. Let's go to Isaiah 66. See, that's what it's going to be like when the Son of Man is revealed. This world is prepared for fire. Purged of all that's not like God. This is Isaiah 66 and verse 15. When you're ready, go ahead.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, with his chariots like a whirlwind.
So he's coming with fire, with his chariots, not just Sodom and Gomorrah, but for this whole world. Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Why is he angry?
For by fire and by the sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be met.
He's angry because mankind has violated his law. Changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant, therefore the earth is burned, and few men left. He said, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. What you saw and saw, what you read about in Sodom and Gomorrah is a sign of what's going to happen to this whole world. Fire is going to come down. Let's see it in 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians 1, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7. What does Paul tell us here? 2 Thessalonians 1 and verse 7. 2 Thessalonians 1 and 7. When you're ready, go ahead.
And to you who are troubled, rest with us.
So now he's trying to console you and your persecution. For all who the godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. He said, if they have persecuted me, they shall persecute you. He said, they have called the master of the house Beelzebub. He said, and to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. This is his return. When's he going to come like?
In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Not sweet Jesus, yes. He's coming back in flame and fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not the gospel. See, that is the mercy of God, that the gospel, the good news of good tidings would be that even though you're a sinner, even though you've been wretched, even though you've been disobedient, you can be saved. And then you want to turn your back on that, yeah, fire is coming. Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. This earth is reserved for that. That's last place, 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 6. Because here we see the ultimate consequence. We know he's coming in flame and fire. We know this earth is going to be burned, a few men left. Man is going to be the grass and golden beds of hope. He's coming back. Eyes red like wine and teeth, white with milk, righteous indignation, coming back with armies. But ultimately, brothers and sisters, he's telling you, you have to wash yourself. You have to clean yourself up. Whatever your sin is, even if it is homosexuality, you can come out of that, because if you don't, the alternative is you won't get something. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and verse 9, and this is it. When you're ready, go ahead.
Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?
So he says, don't you know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? And if you do not inherit the kingdom of God, the lake of fire will be your portion. So it said, know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Don't you know that there's a standard by which to determine what is righteous and unrighteous? Don't be what?
Be not deceived.
Don't let these false ministers tell you that you can just sin and do whatever you want. You want the grace now. You don't have to keep the law of God. God loves everybody. Be not deceived. Go ahead.
Neither fornication,
Uh-huh.
nor adulterers,
Go ahead.
nor idolaters, nor effeminate,
Uh-huh.
use themselves with mankind.
So he said, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor effeminate, abusers of themselves with mankind. So he's talking about those who engage in sodomy. He's talking about those who engage in fornication, idolatry, nor what?
Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners
Shall what?
shall inherit the kingdom of God.
So you're not going to get the reward of God, or the reward of the righteous. You'll get the reward of the unrighteous, which is death. The gift of God is eternal life. But the wage of sin is death. And that's for if God spared not Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's always my prayer that you will edify. With that, we can stand up, face Jerusalem, and close out.
Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be
on
done,
earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily
and
bread,
forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
And lead us not into
but
temptation,
deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
Thine is the kingdom,
Thine is the
and
kingdom,
the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
For he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures forever.
Praise the Lord God of Israel.
Praise the Lord God of
For
Israel.
he is good,
For he is good,
and his mercy endures forever.
and his mercy endures
These
forever.
things we pray in Jesus' name.
These things we pray in Jesus'
The
name.
Holy One of Israel,
The Holy One of
the
Israel,
mighty one of Jacob,
my Holy One of
the
Jacob,
Lord of lords,
Lord of lords,
the King of
and
kings.
the King of kings.
Amen.
Amen.
I didn't acknowledge those who were listening online, so my apologies for that. It's always good to have you with us. Worship, and so I pray that you will edify. And I wanted to, people can ask questions, it's totally okay. I wanted to myself ask some questions though, just a couple, unless you have something. Just real quick about how we can respond to arguments that have been, quite frankly, manufactured, perfected, and used over time. A lot of times people will say stuff, and even though you know what the book says, it makes sense to you, or it may make sense. So I just want to look at a couple. What would you say to that argument that people are just born gay? You're just born that way. What'd you say, sis?
I said there's no scientific proof.
There's no science, right? There's no scientific proof. There's no gay gene. There's no proof that there's a genetic predisposition that some people are born gay or to be gay. But even if there if that was the case, still is this moral? And it is not. That is the answer. That's that should be our argument that homosexuals, like when you look at same-sex marriage, they can't be married because you can't separate procreation from marriage. All right, and when you do so, you have made marriage irrelevant because that's what it's for. All right, it's for.
So you go back to the last.
Okay.
And if that person says that homosexuals were born that way, there's no justification if that were the case, because the same thing could be said by the murderer, by the thief, by the adultery. Would say, well, I was born that way. God made me this way. Well, even if He did, you got to change.
Yes, and you see evidence of people. Matter of fact, that's a good point. Even when you read it in 1 Corinthians, when we were just reading it, the first
some as you were.
And thank you. Some of you were. So he's writing to the church like they were engaged in that thing. And it says in verse 11, but such were some of you, fornicators, idolaters, abusers themselves, but ye are sanctified. So he's calling us to change. That's a good point. Thank you. Right? And so even if they would say, I talked about this earlier, even if they would say, well, what about infertile couples? In principle, infertile couples can still have a baby because you've got a man and a woman. So it's still a possibility there. If we got two men, it is impossible. So that's that one too. So that was, oh yeah. The struggle for same-sex marriage was just like the struggle, the African-American civil rights struggle. What would you say to that? If they say, hey, this is similar or analogous to the civil rights struggle. This is about civil rights. Yes.
Being born Hebrew as well, or being born as African Americans, not the same as being gay, because being gay is a choice rather than being born that way. You can't choose how you're born.
Exactly.
In regards to
Exactly. Like you can change your skin. You can be born like my color. You can go get some. You can bleach your skin. You still genetically the same. But with this, you're talking about a behavior. That's exactly it. That's it. So that's the only thing I had. I just wanted to ask y'all some questions because this, sometimes things you can take a little thought. You're like, man, that makes sense. You don't necessarily agree with it. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, did anybody have any questions? No?
No, I just reminded me. We're supposed to do Sunday. Next Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's right.
Hold on, question, but Friday,